Miles Alexander III, folks, with Alexander Galt. How are you guys doing today? This is a blessing here to see people that look like me, that are at the top level of their business, in a leadership position of their business. I love the energy. I love everything that's going on here. So I'm really impressed with that. And it strives me to keep going forward. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Miles Alexander III. I am the principal of Alexander Goshen. We currently have under management about 2,000 multifamily units.
I'm sorry, brother. Can you hold the mic up? Please just hold the mic up.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You got me?
Yeah, that's
all right. Thank you. Again, so my name is Miles Alexander III. I am the principal of Alexander Goshen. Our office is in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, as well as Atlanta, Georgia. We have under management and ownership around 2,000 multifamily units, three hotels, and about 187 units of senior housing ALF, which equates to about 280 million in assets. We've been in business for about 14 years and still going strong. So that's me in a nutshell. I don't like to talk. I do tell you, I don't like to talk.
So tell them about one of the projects that brought you here to this area, one that you have going on right now.
Sure. So with Mr. Albertly, we had a conversation about maybe a month ago, and we had dinner, and we were recently awarded a project in St. Pete, the Thomason building, which we are developing 225 units focused on Pinellas County teacher and staff. So with that, the AMIs are between 80% and 120. We are in partnership with another developer out of New York. So we're still elevating, moving various other projects as well, but that is the main project that brought us here to the St. Pete area.
Now tell them about, when we were sitting there talking a while back, your dreams, one of the things that, tell them the size of the buildings that you really want to build.
Okay, so I'll go to the whole story with that. So we got a little bit emotional when we had our dinner, right? And we were talking about us as black people, and specifically the state of Florida. So with Florida, there's not a lot of black, or if any, black developers that are building anything over 10 stories, 20 stories. I go to South Florida and I see the desert developments, the Relatids of the world and everything, and they're putting them up like hotcakes, right? So my dreams and aspirations as a little boy was always to develop or be a developer of building something over 40 stories. So right now, my tallest building is around 18 stories, but I'm still going.
So one of the other things that Miles has is he's not just a developer, you're also a contractor, right?
Yes, sir.
So you guys can not only develop, but you all can build. And again, give them a little bit more about your background. You serve your country,
yes, sir.
and talk about that and how it brought you to where you are now.
Sure. So going back around 18, 19 years old, I joined the military. I was in the Army. I was stationed in Fort Lewis, 275 Ranger Battalion out of Fort Lewis, Washington. So with that, I was able to, and everybody knows if you're in the military, when you go into the military, sometimes you get a bonus for what you want to do, and everything's pretty much paid for you. So I was eating for free, living for free, so I was always able to save a lot of money at the end of the year. So around 5 years it took me where I didn't spend pretty much any capital. So when I got out by medically being discharged, I moved back to Atlanta, and I was able to get into development at that time. I started with single family homes, then subdivisions, and I learned a valuable lesson with that, dealing with contractors and people that are doing business, people that are trying to hustle out here. You always gotta watch yourself. And everybody knows a contractor is always robbing Peter to pay Paul, every time. So I learned how to become a contractor for myself. I didn't want to, but I had to keep my money and my profits and my business safe. So I got into the business of construction by learning from my mistakes. So therefore, I was able to leverage that and learn a little bit more, become a government contractor, and I started doing the mentorship programs with the black contractors in Atlanta, H.J. Russell, started working at the Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, and doing prime construction as well. Then I was able to get into my own developments as well.
And also, Miles, one of the other things that I appreciated about our conversation, I'm a finance guy, and I've been around that for a little while, just a little while. And one of the things you talked about when we were talking about how you develop capital stacks, how do you put funding together for projects in different places you have to source money. So just talk about that just a little bit and some of the things that you've done for yourself.
Sure. So with, and I'll go back to, I'll lead up to that. So in development, it's a very strategic game that you have to understand. And I didn't go to school for development. Like I said, I learned by doing and saving capital. So I always learned to actually leverage and save, and leverage my money. So with that, I was a contractor, and I learned to notice my value that I was bringing to these other developers. With that, I was able to negotiate of beating the cost of other developers, but turning my overhead and profit to equity. So therefore, I was able to leverage into a deal and build my balance sheet. Balance sheet is very important when you're trying to be a developer, and your liquidity. So with that, going into more development and understanding how to put deals together, I was able to learn what we call syndication. So that's then by crowdfunding with the 506 series leverage I was doing. So I was able to buy apartment complexes using syndicated money and also learning about private placement, capital, different incentives and different things that the city had, my tax abatements and other grants that all can go on your capital stack that would enable me to give less money out of my pocket.
All right, folks. Miles, thanks so much, man. And you're gonna hang around a bit, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so folks, you'll be able to talk to Miles and just kind of see the different things and talk to him about some of the additional things he's got going and some of the projects that they're looking at doing. But again, the reason I thought it was important to highlight him is when Drew said, hey, let's find a developer. I was on a panel this morning with the Florida Community Development Association. They had asked me to sit on a panel, and one of the things they were talking about is how do we develop more cohorts of BIPOC, BIPOC meaning Black, Indigenous, people of color, more cohorts of developers so that you can increase the wealth of Black folks through developing affordable housing. It's one thing, we always seem to be on the receiving end of affordable housing, right? People say, when you think affordable housing, be honest, what do you think about? You think they think about poor Black folks, right? Well, the problem is most of those units are being built by whom? Wealthy white folks. So how do we develop cohorts of investors that become developers so that we can start owning projects as opposed to just living in them, okay? And so that's where you have someone like Miles who say, look, no, I'm not the biggest, okay, but I've learned a few things in some of the projects that I've done. I'm willing to take that knowledge, and some of y'all rich people standing out here, okay, people always looking at me saying, hey man, why don't you put some money in this? No, I ain't got no money, y'all got the money. But the thing is, people out there that have funds that they want to deploy, you don't have to know how to do it all. That's what partnerships and joint ventures are for. What did he tell you? He talked to the syndicators. Syndicators don't build nothing. You know what they build? Money networks, okay? So their job is to help you source money, and they place that money. But going out building bricks and touching stuff, they don't do that. So it's important that you know all of the different sides of it. So Miles, thanks so much, man, and we appreciate you. All right.
He was saying you're doing something to me. So there's a few things that I live by, especially now that I am in the situation that I'm in. and your purpose. So we talked about how all these buildings are coming up and people that don't look like us are owning the building, but we are living in them. And they're overpriced, right? So what I'm challenging you today as CEOs and business leaders as what is your purpose? What is your purpose? Understand what your purpose is and how you can be of value and give back to the people that look like you and me. I'll go to a little bit of a story. We had a conversation on his podcast about I grew up in foster care. So my purpose is always to give back to people that went through the struggle, look like me, and understand that you don't have to be a ball player, you don't have to rap, which is nothing wrong with it. I love rap, I love music, but there's other things to do in life, and you can be a prominent businessman in this world. So understand, know your purpose, define that, and let's all work together to make a better place for us to live. Thank you.
Thank you.